What's going on, everybody? My name is Richard. Some of you know me, a lot of you probably don't know me. I've noticed a trend amongst a lot of young people these days. A lot of people want to know what's going on in the world. A lot of people really want to understand what's happening around them. But I've also noticed a lot of people don't like to watch CNN. A lot of people don't like to read the New York Times. A lot of people don't like to read the Washington Post. A lot of people just don't like to dig deep and do research and figure out stories upon stories about like what's really going on. So I thought to myself, like, why not create a small video series, present the news in a way that makes you want to engage with it, want to have an opinion, and want to discuss this with your friends. Now, do you have to agree with what my ideas are? No, by any stretch. You definitely don't have to agree. The purpose of this show is primarily just to give you the tools you need to assess everything. That's the premise of this show. And yeah, I guess we'll dig right into it.
Sunday, Monday, happy days. Tuesday, Wednesday, happy days. Thursday, Friday, happy days. The weekend comes, my cycle hums, ready to race to you. These days are happy.
North Korea is a country that not too many Americans are familiar with in terms of what actually goes on with that country and their politics. From just a general perspective, a lot of Americans seem to think that Korea is a country that poses a crazy threat to America and they're just gonna blow us off the map. But the reason I'm even talking about North Korea right now is because last week, North Korea and South Korea decided that they should start peace talks. But they've been at war for at least 6 decades. You know, the Korean War happened back in 1953 and it never formally ended. So Kim Jong went into South Korea, met with President Moon. They came to an agreement and kind of said, yo, we need to work on our tension right now. Also, while we work on our tension, let's work on this missile situation we got going on. Maybe we should denuclearize ourselves. Now, what's interesting about all of this is the role that America plays in this. North Korea is more willing to denuclearize themselves, get rid of their nuclear arsenal, their nuclear facilities and things like that, if the United States, us, if we promise not to invade the country. Now, that's kind of tough in the sense that we have no immediate plans to invade North Korea. But as a country, I'm not too sure that we would want to willingly make a concession like that to Kim Jong-un and North Korea, because who knows what could happen. The newly appointed Secretary of State, Mike Pompeo, who used to be a former CIA director, he actually had a secret meeting in North Korea in Pyongyang, which is the capital of North Korea. And from that meeting, he came back. It was just recently reported that great things happened. They had great talks, which kind of was what spurred these peace talks to even happen. Kim Jong-un went as far as to say he's willing to let the US and South Korea be there while they shut down the only known underground nuclear plant. Now, we don't know how many nuclear plants North Korea actually has. As far as we know, there's one that's underground. And hopefully that's the only one they have. But Kim Jong being willing to make a concession like that is pretty interesting. Definitely a story that you would want to follow. Kanye West, he made his return to Twitter. In typical Kanye fashion, very controversial. But one thing specifically, or one series of tweets that kind of got people riled up was his tweets that referenced our president, President Trump. But people saw Kanye with his Make America Great Again hat on. They saw him come out and make a few affirmative tweets towards Donald Trump. Twitter world exploded. Social media exploded. Trump even retweeted Kanye. Now, is it problematic? You really gotta break it down and think about it. One interesting thing that Kanye said was, I only 100% agree with myself. And that's really what politics is when you think about it. So when you think about President Obama and his tenure in office, did you agree with every political decision he made? Do you know every political decision he made? You can't 100% agree with any politician, no matter how much you support them. President Obama was in office for 8 years. Everybody was, yes we can, we loved it. We love Obama. I love President Obama. I voted for him. But did I agree with every decision he made? No, I didn't. Just because by human nature, I can't. There are a lot of things Obama did that I did not like. There are a lot more things he did that I did like, but there's still a lot of stuff he did that I did not like. And that's just how things go. That's politics. So bringing this back to Kanye, should he be open to critique? Yes, of course. He's a public figure. He put his thoughts in the public arena and public platform, so go ahead and critique him. Should he be villainized and demonized and exiled from the black community? No, he shouldn't be. But at the end of the day, I think the purpose of that song that Kanye put out, the purpose of some of his tweets, were to say, don't feel boxed in from having a free opinion, free thought. We all live in shadows and are afraid to voice our opinions. We'll never get to a point of understanding or dialogue to even know if our ideas are wrong, if they're right, or how we can work together to shape those ideas. So I think that's really what Kanye was getting at right there. But anyway, all right, just to wrap things up really quick. So in a very strained time for President Trump and pretty much all of his European counterparts, there is a rose in this garden of thorns. President Macron. He's the president of France. He had his first official state visit last week to go visit President Trump. Now, what happens in a state visit, you know? All right. So state visits are essentially, you know, leaders come together, foreign leaders, they come together, they talk about strategy, alliances, how they should move forward if they have a joint operation in a country, or if they are talking about investments or talking about trade and things like that. So that's what a state visit is. Now, a lot of analysts, a lot of experts expected President Macron to come to the US and say, look, Trump, we gotta get you on board this nuclear deal. Just to give you a little backstory, there's this thing called the Iranian nuclear deal that President Obama was a big supporter of. I also support it. I think it's an amazing deal to limit Iran's nuclear capabilities. But President Trump has been kind of weary of it. He doesn't really think it's gonna be as effective as it could be. Experts anticipated that when President Macron came for his state visit, that one of the things on his agenda would be to discuss the Iranian nuclear deal, which of course it was. Now, the interesting thing about Trump and Macron's relationship is they're actually very cool. Reports have said that they talk on the phone often, they share ideas, they strategize a lot more than Trump does with a lot of other leaders. But going back to how, you know, politics and people kind of are separated, they disagree on a lot of fundamental issues. One specifically being the Iran nuclear deal. Iran has a lot of uranium enrichment facilities. And what is that? They got a lot of places where they are building these nuclear weapons. The Iran nuclear deal looks to limit that. Iran is also a country that has a lot of sanctions on it, a lot of limitations on what they can actually do. So the Iran nuclear deal basically says this: if you limit the amount of facilities you have, the amount of reactors you're using, and the amount of research that you're trying to do, you know, as a global community, we'll work to lift a lot of those economic sanctions that you have on your country. In plain text, think of that as the Iran nuclear deal. Iran having way too many nuclear weapons, nobody really liking that, nobody really trusting Iran at the same time, and essentially the global community stepped in and said, hey, look, y'all gotta cut that out. We need to limit this, get smarter with how we're doing this, and essentially we'll work with you guys and start to lift some of the sanctions that we've had on your country for like ages. Alright guys, thanks for watching. Please, please, please share this with your friends. Share this at the bar, share this at the party, share this in the office, share this in the work lunchroom. Wherever you go, share this video. Drop something in the comments. Let me know how you feel about Kanye, aka Kanye. Let me know how you feel about Kim Jong. Let me know how you feel about President Trump and his tiny hands. Definitely drop a comment, like it, share it, do whatever you want with it. Thanks for watching. Tune in next week.